Hello, this is a Yamaha C3 grand piano that's 186 centimeters long, 6'1" and a bit, and just come into stock. We have already pitch raised it and done some work on the piano. Cosmetically, it's practically pristine. Doesn't seem to have been used at all, just bought for show possibly. That's often the case with white grand pianos, that they're not really played very much. It's very common that we get white grand pianos in that haven't been played. So if you want a good piano, good Yamaha piano made in 2003, so basically not really much different from a new piano. And in fact, we are going to refine the action and generally find the tone on the piano as much as we can, so it will be, like we believe, like a new piano. We'll try to aim for the very best quality we can. One way of telling that the piano hasn't really been used, there's not even a scratch on there really, and you expect music to scratch the music desk and the sides, and this is absolutely pristine too. It's totally unmarked velvet. The top of the piano is absolutely immaculate too. There's not a scratch on it. There's one very slight blemish that we found on the piano that our polisher is going to disguise and make good, and we think you'll probably not be able to find it, so I'm not going to show you where it is now in case you immediately go to that spot. But if you do buy the piano, and then have a look and see if you can manage to find that. You can gauge the colour of the piano from this worksheet, the difference between white paper and the colour of the piano. It's a very pleasing off-white colour, and this is our worksheet on the piano. There's a description of it there, and down here we see what sort of work we need to do. So I've weighed off the touch, as I've shown in many other videos, a bit on the heavy side, so we'll be lubricating all points, and we'll be looking at the touch weight, and if necessary putting weights in the keys. But from experience we can reduce it by the heavy ones by about 5 or 6 grams, so, and this one slightly, so 48 to 54 grams, as we said before, is the kind of range we're looking at, and a plus or minus 2 grams of accuracy. And that's the same as the new piano really, as I've shown before. It's pitch raised hugely. I don't think it's been tuned in its whole life, so that's an indicator of it not being used as well. And I just want to try and refine the set-off, which has been done already by my colleague, I think. So the measurement for the set-off, we want to try, without pushing the key down, without it playing, wanted to get as close as possible to the string before it pulls back. That's called the set-off, so as close as we can. So within an eighth, which is normally the closest you can get, eighth of an inch, and then pulls back. It's got to have a margin of safety so that it's not going to block when you play it softly. And that doesn't block, and it holds itself near the string for repetition as well. The set-off is this button here. Commonly we're nearly always adjusting set-offs, and let's turn that way to make it set off later. So on this action model you can see, as I press the key down, the jack engages with the set-off there, and we can see here I've de-adjusted it a bit so it comes off a bit early, so it's reaching perhaps within a quarter of an inch of the string, so that needs to be adjusted. That needs to be taken up here, so we have to turn that to the right like this. Now if we turn it too far, the jack doesn't engage with it, doesn't pull out, and so the hammer blocks against the string like that. And now you can see the jack's engaging, pulling out, and the hammer's dropping. That's pulling out. If you look at the roller, so if we look at the roller here, we can see the jack pulling out, and that allows the hammer to come off the string. So if it wasn't for that, the hammer would just donk against the string and then wouldn't come back, and then it will deaden the sound totally. So if we look at the Yamaha there, see the jack disengaging and the hammer pulling back, and that needs to get as close as possible within comfort range. You don't want it to not work properly, so we just de-adjust it very slightly so that it's always going to perform properly. And if you play it gently, it shouldn't catch on the check. It should just stay ready to repeat quietly, and then it checks if you play it louder. Now if we look at the hammers, there's literally no wear whatsoever on them, just just about see the string marks. That will be the person who is setting up the piano rather than the person who got the piano. So no playing at all, extremely little playing. I did notice that this hasn't got any chalk or talc or Teflon lubricant, which we normally put here, so that will be put on and might reduce the friction and therefore reduce the weight on the key or the inertia slightly. And then we're also going to buff up the top here, just anything really that will lubrication here. It's actually very free already, and if we pull the hammers up we can see they all move down together, so I don't really think they need lubricating at all. But the rail here possibly need lubricating, and we want to reduce the weight slightly, so if necessary we're going to put weight in the keys. A test we can make is to lift the key up and see if it drops back down again, and that's D, but C doesn't come back down, so C is slightly tight here. That'll have an effect on the weight of the action too. These are very, very subtle, but if you're a musician then obviously you're aiming for maximum subtlety. So that's a Yamaha C3 grand piano made in 2003, and I think we can honestly say it's never been used. Just bought probably as a piece of furniture. It's often the case with white grand pianos that we find them, and fortunately we find them not hardly used, in which case for a musician they can be really made extremely precise, and this one does need lubricating. The weight needs evening out. And we also want to regulate it just to get it really as fine as we possibly can, so you can play very quietly and very confidently play quietly. So if you're going to play something that you want really to play as subtly as possible, then you can rely on each note playing evenly. And the unrecorder also as regulated as possible, so there's as much contrast with the ordinary unrecorder. It's a good test piece, that one, because it's one that everyone tries to have a go at. Now the other thing about a really high quality piano is you get a wonderful tone wherever you play it. Whether you play in the tenor area or the treble. Of course the treble is where you're going to play mostly for the melody. It's wonderful to know you can get an equally beautiful sound wherever. And of course we voice the piano to get maximum evenness of tone. And the fluidity of playing as well. That's to do with the accuracy of the weighting too, so that you can rely on, you press the same weight on each key, you're going to get an equal response. Now we work together with firms like Steinway. We go to courses of Steinway and Renner, particularly Renner the Action Maker. We've worked with a lot and gone on many of their courses to try and get the most refinements we possibly can. There's several thoughts about how to refine piano actions. If you're a technician and listening to this, then it would be very interesting to hear your own opinion, because we always want to learn and improve. So I hope that's been helpful. If you can't come in and view the piano, then please let us know, and we can give you the piano as a trial for a while. That's something we're doing a lot at the moment with the lockdown. No problem if you want to change the piano for another piano. Whatever you spend on paying for the trial run, then we will take off the purchase price of the piano. Please write to us, info@robertspianos, and we'll see how we can serve you. Doesn't matter where you are, We sent pianos up to Scotland recently. It's very common for us to send pianos to all parts of the UK. So please be in contact. We need to sell grand pianos, so we're very keen to do something which works for you and will still work for us. Thank you very much for listening.